Reality is like a film set. There are directors,
Action!
producers,
Are we on schedule?
and even actors.
Can somebody get me a coffee?
The trick is realizing that you are playing all of these roles. You are the executive producer of your reality. My name is Daniel,
My name is Lauren.
and we're here to break the fourth wall to discover what's behind the scenes. And what you hear just might have you saying, "That's so meta." Welcome, everybody, to That's So Meta, where we discuss the mystical, the magical, and the metaphysical. I am your host, Daniel James.
And I'm Lauren Marie.
Today's episode will be a Q&A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we crowdsource questions from the internets, the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I had originally posted a call to action, send us your questions on my Facebook pages, plural, one of which I have 4,100 Facebook friends, and I got one question.
Yeah. So then we outsourced. And I think for the most part, we have a lot of stuff to cover.
We got a lot of questions, but
a
they
lot
just
of
didn't come from
topics.
like
where you would
where I
expect.
have 10 million people
Yeah. But
that
I
don't engage with me at all.
I do think the topics that we have, they're more like topics than questions. I think we have two solid questions,
We have questions.
and the rest are like topic ideas that would be a fun general discussion.
Yeah. People
I feel.
oftentimes like to hear how we weigh in on stuff.
Yeah.
Like
rather
less of
than,
like a question.
Mhm.
They're like, what do you think about this? Or how do you feel? What are your thoughts and feelings, or what's your perspective on this topic? So we have a lot of those.
Yeah, which is, I mean, just as good.
Take it easy. We got stuff.
We got stuff. So, do you want to jump right into it?
Yeah.
By the way, Daniel does have allergies.
hay
So
fever.
if you hear him sniffling and sneezing and coughing, it's because of the allergies.
I got the snoof.
He got the drippies. So we do have a window right behind him, and it's probably gonna.
It's pounding in pollen.
Yeah.
Like there's hitting me.
Like content warning, there will be like sounds.
I'm sniveling. You guys can't see it.
Mhm.
Outside of the little frame, the box of our frame here, we're in our office, and there's not a lot of room in
Yeah.
here. It's pretty cramped.
Yeah.
We got a window right here you can't see.
But we make it work.
It's the pollen
But
machine.
pollen is kind
It's
of
pollen
pumping
portal transmitting the sniffles.
Big sniffles.
Question number 1.
So I think to start out, we'll kind of ease into this. How about we start out with, how do I meditate?
How do I meditate?
Mm-hmm.
This is the most common question that I've been asked
Even
in the
I've
last
experienced it a
6
lot.
years.
Mm-hmm.
It's the question that repeats. Well, I will always give you guys a metaphysical perspective on these questions. Let's demystify meditation and make it simple.
Mm.
Okay? Meditation does not necessarily mean that you are oming in the woods next to a babbling brook with whale sounds playing.
Mm-hmm. With nothing going on. Like, I think a common thing is like, clear your mind. And people are always like, well, how do you clear your mind? You don't have to necessarily.
You don't have to necessarily. So there is transcendental meditation. There is deep meditation techniques. And for those that find that challenging because they cannot shut their brain off, they can't shut the chatter off. They're thinking about the past or thinking about the future. They can't get over their anxieties and the noise. Well, the first thing I want to say is that meditation is not just sitting calmly with your eyes closed in a trance, because that can be challenging for people who can't shut it off. Meditation is the act of being totally present and focused in the now moment. What that means is you're meditating while you're playing a musical instrument. You're meditating while you're doing art, painting and drawing and sculpting, building something, crafts. You're in a meditative state when you're present and you're focused on the task at hand. That is a form of meditation, and your brain waves are altering. The frequencies are tuning into another rate. So let's first demystify meditation, that it just looks like someone in, an Om. It's not.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a focused, very present
Mm-hmm.
action that keeps you in the now moment,
Mm-hmm.
keeps you present. Now, obviously, the more formal meditation practice, I like to use rhythmic breathing.
Mm-hmm.
You can calmly sit down and you can close your eyes. And I like to do deep breathing exercises, which I have on my YouTube, where I breathe in and I count to 5,
Mm-hmm.
and I hold my breath for 5 seconds, and then I release for 5 seconds. This is a 15-second interval.
Mm-hmm.
And I do this in rhythmic patterns, and I would suggest doing this over and over until you stop counting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the mechanism of
Mm-hmm.
breathing and the focused intention in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
I teach a deep meditation technique that's more so designed to get people into a channeling state, get people into a conscious trance.
Mm-hmm.
But it is where I started in my meditation journey in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And this exercise I actually teach in private sessions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically, it's the process of using your environment and your 3D senses to help anchor you into a meditative altered state.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of designed this based loosely on some Seth material, but I've redesigned it into a specific process that people can do on their own or being guided into it,
Mm-hmm.
that will help them get into a meditative trance.
Mm-hmm. And I can attest, you've guided me through it a couple of times, and every time it's absolutely worked.
I've done sessions with people where I've guided them into it, and it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty profound for them.
Mm-hmm.
But to demystify meditation, it's not just a deep trance. It's not just deep breathing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not whale sounds and aromatherapy and incense, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It can be just doing something artistic, anything that keeps you present
Mm-hmm.
and focused in the now moment.
Totally.
So I hope that helps, demystify it. Take some of the, technicality out, or add some technicality, whatever makes it easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
But experiment with those things.
I'm a big believer. I repeat myself all the time. I'm a big believer in releasing the expectation of things. And when it comes to meditation, if when you demystify it, it helps relieve some of the pressure that you feel when you're sitting there and your legs are crossed and you're doing your mudras and you're thinking in your head, like, am I there yet? Am I doing it?
Yeah.
Is it now? And
challenging.
it's challenging. So I'm a big believer in releasing the expectation and the pressure of anything truly happening, just being present and, connecting deeper.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This next question is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating to me. Why is there something and not nothing?
Mm-hmm.
That's the paradox. Because the absence of is what gives something its existence. You see, there's always two sides to every coin. Reality only exists because of its self-awareness. Its awareness of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only have an awareness of yourself if there is something else to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, there is always nothingness. And there is always absolute. Everything. Both exist.
Mm-hmm.
It's the yin and the yang. They create each other, they collapse each other. Why is there something and not nothing? There isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Darkness isn't the absence of light. It's just a slower, lower vibrational frequency of light.
Mm-hmm.
Everything adds to itself and everything cancels itself out. Everything only exists as a result of its awareness in reference to.
The next question is, are humans truly free? It's a pretty heavy one. I'm thinking this has to do with like free will.
It's complicated and you're not going to like the answer because it doesn't yield immediate change. That's why you're not going to like the answer. Yes, we are. But it is a very complicated tier system, hierarchical system. You see, humans, we do govern our own planet. We do govern our own reality. But it exists in sort of a multi-level dimension and a multi-level density reality where there are other aspects and versions of ourselves that exist in other planes of existence that are also governing this version of our reality that we are in now. And so although we do have free will, from a higher dimensional perspective, it's almost as if a greater aspect of ourself is the one that's making the decisions. And the lower fractal version of Daniel and Lauren, the 3D version, the lower fractal, is the one experiencing all of the decisions play out. So although we do make our own conscious decisions and we do have our own free will down here, it seems like in the moment we are being posed with a decision to make, and then we're making a decision, and then we're taking action, and then there is a result. People get frustrated because they're not exactly living the lives that they want. They can't exactly experience all the things that they want to do, even if they have the desire to do it. So we feel like we're in a prison, or we feel like we don't have the ability to fully choose our fate. We do. It's just that we agreed to experience certain things in this version of reality that we do not remember. And part of the mechanics of being here in this reality is a little bit of struggle and strife. It's a little bit of contrast and polarity. It's a little bit of push and pull. And so that can make us feel like we're not in control. It can make us feel like we aren't making our own decisions and governing our own free will, which in a lot of, aspects of our society now, there's a lot of evidence that would state that we don't. But we are all here for a greater cosmic purpose to experience things that we cannot experience other places. It feels disempowering here to go through the process, but from a greater, higher dimensional perspective, we are choosing this for ourselves. You could look at it almost like a video game. There is a person with a remote who's steering the little person, and the little person that you control doesn't know that there's somebody with a remote behind him.
It's like you can only you're experiencing the video game itself, and you can only interact with things that are interactable
in the 3D environment. And that's the range, that's the limit of your perception.
You have to stay within the confines and the laws of the video game itself.
Correct. But there is a greater aspect of yourself that is also playing the game with you, sending you experiences and circumstances to take action on. And how you do that is up to you. But imagine if you were here on this level, and then you're here on this level, and 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 every level above you is still you. It's just a greater aspect of yourself that sees the bigger game and is driving the machine. I want to say for you, but also with you. And so you have both full free will and also the illusion of free will, because there is always more aspects of yourself that are deciding factors in what you experience. Are we free from a 3D perspective? No. Not as much as I'd like to be.
Right.
But not in the ways I would prefer.
Yes, but at the same time, if you think about it, we're always striving to be, to the level above us, and the one above us is aiming for the one above that, and it just continues up forever. Nobody's ever, this is nihilistic and I apologize, but nobody's ever going to fully reach their goal, because you always have to have something to run after. You always have to have something to chase.
That's true.
To follow, you know. So I don't believe that the grass is greener anywhere else, because there's still more to be achieved, and there's still more to experience and view at any given moment from any perspective.
To answer your question, are we truly free? Yes and no. It depends on your perspective and from the vantage point that you are perceiving your reality from. And I hope that helps. Our next question. This is about the concept of fear, which we've covered on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this gets a little dark, but we are members of our human society right now from this perspective. Some people are afraid of getting infected with the coronavirus.
Mm.
Some people are afraid of getting infected by the vaccinated. The concept or the terminology is called shedding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is not an argument of are you a pro-vaxxer or an anti-vaxxer. This is about the fear of being infected, and the reason why this question is unique, because the people who don't believe in the sort of pandemic and its authenticity, they tend to believe that it's not as is depicted to us, and that they can't get infected, in a sense, by the
disease.
pandemic, by the disease, by the virus. And those particular people generally don't agree with the vaccine. But then this new fear arises from the ashes that the vaccine is a self-spreading bioweapon unto itself, and that shedding can infect the non-vaccinated. So here you have people who disagree with the virus, but now they're afraid of getting infected still and again by the vaccinated who are shedding
by the solution to the virus.
By the solution to the virus, a bioweapon. So what do you think about that?
I think at the end of the day, I'll say this until I'm blue in the face, fear of infection is still fear of infection, whether you're afraid of getting infected by the virus or by, what might be the solution to the virus. It's not a matter of, like you said, it's not a matter of being like anti-vax or pro-vax. It's a matter of whether or not you're being incited
to fear
something on either side. And I think it's really important to, obviously, whatever your belief is, make sure that it's not coming from a place of fear of a potential thing, because at the end of the day, that's what they want you to feel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
No matter what side you're on, you're still
is...
feeling the fear, and you're still feeling, like us versus them, like me versus you, instead of what should be, which is just you kind of uniting and everybody just being cool.
Fear of infection is still fear of infection.
It's still promoting conflict.
It's still divisive.
Yeah.
It's still separation. You have to look at it like, now I'm somebody who would be like, yeah, I understand the pharmacology and the science and the chemistry to this whole thing. Whether you believe in the infection of a virus or you believe in the infection of a bioweapon, you believe in geoengineering. Fear of infection is still fear of infection. And you have to look at the law of attraction. You have to look at where your intention is being guided to. Okay? If there are those shadow forces that have an agenda behind the pandemic, you need to understand that those very same forces are masters at this, and they will continue targeting the deeper corners of the rabbit hole.
Think about the classic film, The Matrix.
Think about the classics.
The classic film, The Matrix, where it's proposed that Zion is just another level of the Matrix. Because
it's all still part of the program.
It's all still part of the program. It's just
More
for
illusion
people
that think.
that think they can see their way out of it. So
Correct. More traps.
yeah.
And actually, there's another question that we're going to get to on the same topic. So fear of infection is still fear of infection.
Mm-hmm.
Are you afraid of the virus? Or are you afraid of the vaccine?
Mm-hmm.
You're still afraid.
I'm very much an individualist where I feel that whatever you think is right for you to do in the moment, of course, because you're only ever doing what you think is best in the moment. And I truly believe that for people. Just make sure that it's not coming as a reaction
Right.
to fear.
Correct.
Make sure that you're not coming from a place of fear when you're making these types of decisions.
Let's leave them with an empowering perspective.
Mm.
If you did not believe in the virus and you were never infected by it, you don't have to believe in the vaccine either. You don't have to get infected by it either.
Right.
Look for the clues. Watch for the traps. Don't give your power away.
Mm-hmm.
Choose what you prefer. Go in power. Is it ever possible to have complete, sure knowledge of anything?
I'm going to just straight out the gate say no.
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 And you shouldn't strive for that.
Absolutely not.
You shouldn't be seeking
Yeah.
the totality of anything
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot comprehend it should you reach that point.
Mm-hmm. And in my personal opinion, I don't think that there are 100% complete, true facts
Of anything.
at any
isn't.
given point. It's
There's
just your
only
perception
subjective
of it.
There's only subjective perception, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's instead of searching for complete surety
Mm-hmm.
and knowledge on anything, come to a realization, come to a point in that subject matter that resonates with you, and gives you peace, makes you feel empowered,
Mm-hmm.
and let that be enough. Because from our limited perspective as humans, in order to be totally sure and have total knowledge of any one thing, you're constantly comparing it
Mm-hmm.
to other people's perspectives and other beliefs and other facts and other science. And there's too much information that will always conflict and challenge what is true or false.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about is a matter of choice in what you believe,
Mm-hmm.
a matter of resonance in belief,
Mm-hmm.
and letting that be enough for you in the moment.
Mm-hmm. The important part is, in the moment, because I feel like everybody should still remain open to that belief structure being changed or altered in some way. Yeah.
As you evolve in your consciousness, your perspective will change. You will see old information anew.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see current information differently,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll perceive new information ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
So to have total knowledge, what are you, the Akashic Records?
Yeah.
Just do enough work and research that you reach a level of assuredness
Mm-hmm.
and comfort in whatever it is you need the knowledge about, and let that be enough in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and let that change. But there is no totality of anything.
Mm-mm. And there absolutely shouldn't be, because when you become too rigid to learning something new or something that challenges your beliefs, then you just stop growing and changing at that point.
Correct.
You've no more room to go when there's so much more to be explored.
I mean, if you want to talk quantum physics, everything exists.
Mhm.
All versions of reality are true.
Mhm.
In whichever side you choose in knowledge, you'll always find enough evidence to support that.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, nothing is true. You can only have a belief, a malleable, liquid belief that will evolve.
Mm-hmm.
So to simplify my answer, you don't need to know the totality of everything or have all the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a preference on the topic and let that resonate with you for as long as it needs to until it changes.
So our last question is, could you talk about the difference between the false Metatron versus the true Metatron? Also, do you believe in archangels? So it's a two-parter. Can you first define the Metatron?
Metatron is technically considered an archangel. Now, you may be familiar with the sacred geometrical pattern, the Metatron's cube. Symbolism of Metatron is a sacred fractal geometrical pattern that is part and parcel to the very fabric of reality.
Mm-hmm.
We could do a whole episode about sacred geometry, and I think we will.
Yeah.
But the Metatron's cube, very powerful symbol in studying quantum physics, metaphysics. But Metatron, who, if you are familiar with channeling, has been channeled by many different people as an entity or a deity or an archangel. And the second part of the question was, do I believe in archangels? Well, unpopular opinion, but I don't currently, and I will explain why. I used to. Say 2015, maybe 2016, I was big into studying the channelings of Archangel Michael and the other, archangels. There is a whole list of them, Metatron being one of them. And you get these channeled messages all the time about ascension and by how our Earth's consciousness is changing, and we are going to have a new Earth and a 5D Earth, and all of this ties into that sort of like subculture of the New Age belief in a very physical type of ascension, almost like a very like solar flash type of ascension, which I was really big into. I was big into like the concept of a new, crystalline Earth in my ascension beliefs, in my ascension studies, because a lot of that talk in the, New Age spiritual circles were channeled messages from Archangel Michael and Metatron about this new 5D Earth, this crystalline Earth. As you study ascension and your consciousness expands, I see this split, like this V shape in the community where people really dive really deep into the new Earth, the new crystalline sort of type of ascension, or you go down like a darker, more conspiratorial path. And I did both for a long time, and I vibrated and oscillated at both frequencies for a long time until I took a hard left, took a hard right, whichever direction you want. And as you start to study, your consciousness expands. It is not all love and light. It's not all rainbow beings of pure love and bliss. It's not.
No.
You got to let that go. There's a glass ceiling to a lot of ascensional beliefs and teachings. And I noticed patterns in all of the channeled material by Archangel Michael and people claiming to be channeling Metatron, another archangel. The glass ceiling is that you will reach these points where predictions are being made, promises are being made, depictions of a new, better place that you're all going to go to, a new Earth, and that fall through, nothing happens, the predictions fall through, there are new predictions made, and the patterns repeat and recycle. It's like static. And people get trapped in these sort of like portals of hopium. And it gets me to what I call the false ascension matrix. We've talked about this way earlier on in the show. If you go back, maybe episode 2 or 3 or 4, false ascension matrix. The archangels are a concept that I believe has been hijacked and manipulated for the people who cannot rise beyond a certain level of consciousness to accept the dark with the light.
Yeah.
And the polarity and the contrast, that everything is love and light, everything is positivity. The Pleiadians are going to come save us. The archangels have been fighting for us for eons, and we're this close to liberation.
Mm-hmm.
We never get there.
It's always projected to the future.
It's always
and
projected.
what's the classic riddle? The classics. What is always promised but never comes? Tomorrow.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I started to notice these patterns. And when I studied the false ascension matrix, you may have heard the term archon. Archon, archangel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does Ashtar Command really exist? The popular channelings by the Ashtar Command, a Palladian military force that is monitoring Earth and helping liberate us and helping us ascend into the fifth dimension. I have been told that a real Ashtar Command exists. Then I have also been told that a fake, hijacked version of the Ashtar Command exists as well,
Mm-hmm.
created by the Vatican, by the Church, which is part and parcel responsible for a lot of our oppression and our slavery, if you subscribe to that belief structure. And so you get this fake Ashtar who's making us empty promises, keeping people in these sort of like rabbit chasing the carrot forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get Archangel Michael popping up, doing these channelings since, I don't know, the 90s, all the way into like when I was big into it, 2015, 2016. I was really immersed in sort of that whole channeling community of the Archangels and the Ashtar Command. The patterns just repeat like a broken radio signal sending out the same message forever.
Mm-hmm.
And people gravitate towards it because rightfully so, they want freedom, they want liberation. They want their sovereignty. They want a new planet, a new Earth where we don't have any sort of cabal,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's commendable, and I understand. But there are traps there
Mm-hmm.
to keep you circling forever without ever making any progress, but just giving your power away to what I call the false ascension matrix, which has traps
Mm-hmm.
all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Q
Yeah.
is the same thing.
Yeah.
Ashtar Command.
Mm-hmm.
Archangels. It's the same false ascension matrix designed to sort of like a web, like an invisible web,
Mhm.
to divert the attention of the people who think they have it all figured out, who think that they've mastered, conspiracy theories and they've mastered ascension and they've got it, and they know what's really going on,
Mhm.
but then they don't realize that they're just in another web
Right.
that was set for them
Mm-hmm.
to keep them in their own box that's no bigger than what you would call the sheeple out there, which I hate that term.
Yeah.
We don't call people sheep.
No.
But for the sake of this, description, you've got the people who don't know anything about what I'm talking about and would hear what I'm saying and be like, yo, this dude's crazy. What is he even saying? And then you got the alternative truthers and the woke people, who have it all figured out,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They just have another layer of it, another layer of the onion peeled back, but then it stops right there. And they stay circling forever, chasing the enemy, chasing the villain.
Mm-hmm.
So are there real archangels? Do I believe in Metatron? I believe in sacred geometry. Now, there's some teachings that will tell you that archangels are just the face to sacred geometry, which is at the fabric, the core vibrational of all physical reality,
Mm-hmm.
which is one thing that I strongly believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in sacred geometry. I believe in quantum particles that are moving infinitely fast in geometrical patterns,
Mm-hmm.
which are at the core of all matter and all dimensions. Some people will tell you that archangels are just a sort of humanoid symbolism
Yeah.
to the creation of reality.
Mhm.
I don't think they're religious, although archangels have been depicted religiously.
Right.
I don't think that they're actually religious deities or religious symbols.
Mm-hmm.
So here is my answer. Do archangels exist? Perhaps. But there is a hijacked version of them that if you need the facts and the science, I can provide you the material that will show you exactly what I'm talking about. That people who are channeling archangels that promise you the world It's just another glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Metatron, Archangel Michael, Ashtar Command, anybody that's giving you predictions about the future,
Mm-hmm.
False Ascension Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's promising you something better that's right around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
False Ascension Matrix.
Totally.
Hopium is not your friend. Stay present, stay in the now. If these symbols, if these deities, if these archangels give you power, they make you feel like they're helping you in some way, use that as a positive tool. Just do not give all of your power away to these icons
Mm-hmm.
that are seemingly outside of yourself.
Right.
You are Metatron. You are the archangels. And that being said, use the power that they symbolize to shape your reality. But don't go to them to heal you. Don't go to them to fix your planet and your society and make things better. Study sacred geometry. Look in the mirror. See the aspects of those beings that you idolize
Mm-hmm.
or appreciate in yourself. And start there.
So that was it. We do have some questions that we couldn't quite get to, but we'll save them for our next Q&A episode. If you guys have any questions for us, you can leave them in the comments below or get a hold of us in some way, shape, or form, and we'll answer them eventually. Some of the questions we also felt would be better as just like total topics because we could talk about them in length.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of ideas lined up. So let us know more.
Let us know what you want to hear
Yeah.
us talk about. We're always accepting requests for total episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And comment your questions below if you have any. These are just our thoughts and opinions and our personal perspectives.
Mhm.
Nothing we say has to be your fact or your truth.
Absolutely.
We hope that we've helped you in some way. Our next episode will be with a special guest.
Yeah.
This special guest is my friend, Rachel Archelaus. She is the creator of the Intuitive Art Academy. She is the channel of Intimate Alien. I have been a guest on several of Rachel's shows, and it's time that I get her on mine.
Yeah.
So she'll be our next guest.
I'm very excited for that one.
She's very cool.
Yeah. I can't wait. But until then, I'm Lauren Marie.
Lauren, would you like to say anything to Bo? What do you want to tell Bo?
You want me to speak to Bo?
Guys, have you seen Bo
This
Burnham's
is
new
hilarious.
special? Inside.
So, one of my all-time favorite creators of all time forever,
The Times.
all the times, Bo Burnham,
Bo
released a new
Burns.
special on Netflix
It's a new
that he
special.
wrote, directed, shot, produced, everything by himself, taking place over the lockdown.
Jack of all trades.
I can't stop enjoying it. It's probably one of my favorite pieces of media to be created in the last forever.
It's been playing in our house
Yeah.
since
It's
it came out.
Incredible. That's all I can say about it is that it just is awe-inspiring. The sheer talent involved in creating something like that.
You might not be able to totally appreciate Bo Burnham's new special
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't followed his career.
Mhm.
You're not familiar with his art and his work. If you are,
Mhm.
you'll know what I mean when you say that it's intense.
Yeah.
It's a masterclass in creativity and expression.
Mm-hmm.
I was awestruck by it. The man pulls no punches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think he's a masterclass
Mm-hmm.
in his craft. Lauren is a little obsessed.
Yeah, I am. I really, truly am.
What do you want to tell Bo, Lauren?
I don't really have anything. I cannot say enough good things about this most recent special. So if you feel like exploring, please check it out. It's pretty incredible. But don't hate me if you don't like it because I didn't tell you to watch it.
Bo Burnham, you're the only artist that can make me feel bad about loving your art.
Yeah.
And that somehow paradoxically makes me respect you even more. And I want you to know that if you don't want to do this anymore, you don't have to.
We're very much content and happy with this last
You've given
special.
us enough, Bo.
You've done it.
You
You've done
did
all of it.
You did it. This is the magnum opus, Bo.
Yeah.
Go home.
Just take a
Rest.
nap. Probably, yeah, take a nap once.
We love you, Bo. Let's take a moment. We're going to have a moment of silence.
Let's pour one out for Bo.
It's for my homie.
Cheers.
That's so meta.
That's so meta.